Let's welcome to the microphone singer, songwriter, Shawn Lee Stamps.
Man, thanks, David.
I know it's kind of cold. You could probably hang a side of beef in here, but we'll make it through it, won't we?
Hey, I'm used to it.
Shawn Stamps, okay. Got a song of yours we're going to play here in just a bit, and we're inviting you to play a song live in the studio here as well. Shawn Stamps, originating from where? Let's find out about you.
I'm from Zip City, Alabama.
Zip City, the town named after the fact that it was so small at one point, people would just zip right on by.
They would zip up to Tennessee or zip right down to Alabama.
That's right. So before we get to anything else, let's get to who let's get to who influenced you. From start off maybe with a local Shoals standpoint, all the way up to maybe a regional or the national artist that helped form who you are as an artist as far as influences.
Oh gosh, man, David, I grew up listening to some cats when I was just a young guy. My dad and mom used to go out to their friend's house at White's Lake here in north of Florence, and I would listen to some guys named Donnie Fritz and Bill Blackburn and Carol Dunham. Carol's still here in Florence. Unfortunately, Donnie passed on just a couple weeks ago, and Bill Blackburn, he's been dead for a few years now, but Carol's still here, and I used to go listen to the guys play, and they were all songwriters, and gosh, I would go out there and listen to them, and I wasn't like all the other kids who ran around and played. I was listening to the music,
Right.
and they all sat around a campfire and played their guitars and sang the songs that they wrote, and little did I know then that I was hearing history being made.
Right.
Absolutely.
It was a little bit too much to appreciate at the time, wasn't it?
Well, it was. For a 8, 10, 12-year-old kid, it was,
Gosh, little did you know. I like that phrase. Little did you know at the time you were just listening and seeing history. Because we've got so many here like that. So much talent. What a talent resource we have here. And I think of people of all ages kind of sort of accidentally take it for granted,
Oh, they do. And I don't think people realize the quality and the amount of talent musically that we have here in the Shoals area. I'm realizing that now, trying to get into music as much as I am, that I am just a little fish in a great big pond with a lot of big fish.
Well, you have a chance to grow, brother. Yeah, for sure.
Yes, and I can certainly think that to people like you that give smaller songwriters and singers opportunities.
Well, that's what this show's about. Exposing this area's talent resources from A to Z. So we're glad to have you on. Now, let's talk about the first time you picked up a guitar and maybe one of the first times you ever played in front of other people. Was it family members? Was it friends? Or I mean, I want to go back to the very first time you played guitar.
Gosh, David,
in front of people.
The first time I ever picked up a guitar, I was shooting pool at Side Pockets, which used to be just a pool hall here in Florence, and
Right.
I ran into these two guys named Rick Franks and Matthew Good, and I took them for a pretty good load of money, and the next thing I know, that they had come up with a scheme of, hey, we can make some money off this guy playing pool, and so they was like, hey, we got an apartment over here at Cedar Bend, and you want to come stay with us, and man, I had a really troubled life as a young man, and I was sleeping here and there and yonder and wherever I could find a place to sleep, and I was like, yeah, absolutely, I'll come to your apartment, and I walked in, and it was just full of music equipment, and Rick and Matt were both great guitar players, and Rick Franks is still a really good friend of mine, and I spoke with him last week. He's living in Jacksonville Beach, Florida, and still playing the guitar, and I had never met anybody that could just hear one song and play it,
Right.
And Rick,
Yeah.
that's Rick Franks, and I was like, hey, you got to teach him how to play that guitar, and I just kept on, and they were young, and they didn't care about teaching nobody to play the guitar, but I just finally drove them crazy to where they said, okay, we'll teach you a few chords, and that's what they done. They taught me a few chords, and they taught me how to play one song, which was On the Hunt by Leonard Skinner.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And, God, the next thing you know, I was in an apartment in Muscle Shoals with some other friends of mine, and the cops got called usually every 2 or 3 days because all I ever played was On the Hunt, On the Hunt. It's the only thing I know, you know. And from there, the Lord blessed me with a talent of being able to pick up musically pretty much anything I wanted to.
Yeah. Well, were there times in your life, let's say the lower times in life, were there any of those times that you experienced that may have had an influence on your music? Or maybe, you got artists that sing songs and you got artists that live songs. Have you lived any of your songs? I mean, do you apply anything in your life that has happened that makes you really pour your heart and soul into a song more than just wanting to cut a cool sounding record?
Oh, man. David, every song I've written, I've implicated something I've seen or experienced in life. Because I say continuously all the time, the music today is dreamed. The music that I grew up listening to, as far as country went, was lived, and that's what I do. I've lived the songs that I've written, and I wrote a song. It's called "If I Hadn't Been Where I'd Been," and the whole basis of the song is if I hadn't been where I'd been, I wouldn't know the things I know, and that's the whole hook of the song. And I remember when I was young, I thought running from my problems was the answer to everything. At the age of 15 years old, I'd gotten in some trouble here and just all the time into something, trouble-wise, and I was scared I was going to prison, and so I stole a man's Harley Davidson from Sheffield, Alabama, and I rode that motorcycle to West Memphis, Arkansas, and traded it for a truck. And then I drove that truck to Weatherford, Texas, and got put in jail, and I conned my way out from a bondsman, and the next thing you know, I was in the desert in Juarez, Mexico at 15 and had no clue where I was at, where I was going, how to get back to the United States. I didn't know I was in Mexico. And I remember walking back toward the city of El Paso. I could see the lights, so I knew that was the direction to go. And I got to the Rio Grande, and I didn't know how deep it was. Yeah, I could see how fast it was moving, and I said, nah, I don't think I want to cross that. So, I was about to freeze to death. It's in the desert, it's cold at night. And so I dug a hole in the sand, and it was warm down in there from the sun, and I buried myself up and covered myself up with that sand. Till the next morning, I got up, and I walked back to a road that I'd crossed, and an old Mexican man picked me up and took me back across the border to El Paso.
Yikes.
And, I wrote that song, If I Hadn't Been Where I'd Been, I wouldn't know where I know. And it says, I've walked across the desert down in Mexico. I've slept under bridges and in a few holes. And that was what started that whole song, was just me being in those travels, and the next thing I knew, I had stole a horse in Jackson, Wyoming at 15 years old and was trying to ride it into the Grand Teton Mountains.
Right.
And the sheriff's office there picked me up.
Yeah.
And put me in jail.
Mm-hmm.
And I stayed there for about 3 or 4 months till my dad finally found me. And, gosh, David, I don't know, man. There's just so much in that story to tell you.
Well, during these times, you did mention, you kind of answered my next question. During these times, was your creative mind still flowing? I know you kind of, I guess you answered that song because you wrote a song based on some of that. I mean,
yeah. Well, at that time, my creative mind wasn't flowing. I guess it was because I was creative enough to have made it through that without somebody murdering me.
I gotcha.
Wow. So I guess my creative mind was working at that time. I just didn't realize it. But later on, once I did find myself in prison finally at 18. And I stayed there for 3 years, 9 months, and 3 days.
Were you able to express yourself musically during those times? Incarceration?
No.
At all?
maybe bits of poetry, but no music. No, there wasn't no musical instruments or nothing like that in prison. So
some of them do have music programs.
Really?
You can actually have a band.
Wow.
Under strict supervision.
Well, definitely not where I was at. I was in the Wyoming State Penitentiary, and
so they don't have a Wyoming State Penitentiary band.
They don't have a Wyoming State Pen band. No.
I gotcha. Well, I'm glad you made it through all that in one piece, man. And with still the spirit and the creative mind to create some music in which we want to hear a song here. Let's do the studio version, and then during the studio song, I'll let you pick your guitar up and get tuned in, and we'll play something live here in the studio. And this is the song you sent to me a couple of days ago. Tell me a little bit about this tune we're going to play here firstly.
Oh, The Truth?
Right.
I wrote this song about 4 or 5 years ago, and I just kind of played with it because I was hearing things about, well, this is the truth and that's the truth, and what really brought the whole song together was during the times when President Trump and Nancy Pelosi was arguing, oh, you're lying, and he was like, nah, you're lying, and they were just bickering back and forth about who's lying, and I was like, what the hell are you guys talking about? The truth is truth. You can't change that.
Right.
And I would hear people say, oh, God's not real. God's not alive. And the whole time I'm thinking, buddy, if you knew what I knew and seen what I seen, there's no way you wouldn't believe in God. Because I am a walking proof that God exists,
Gotcha.
There's no way that I went through the things that I went through at the age of 15 to 17 and it not be a God.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So, I sat down and I wrote the song. I started on it, like I said, about 4 years ago, and then it just all developed later into a great song about a year and a half or 2 years ago. I finished it up, and I started thinking people. I was starting to play more publicly for people, and most of my playing was around campfires and just little small festivals and just wherever I could sit down and play and anybody would listen.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of fine-tuned the song, The Truth, and it just became what it was. And the whole song, the concept is the truth's the truth, and it's never going to change. No matter what lie you try to tell, it's still the truth. And so that's what brought the whole song about, was that.
Man, what a great setup for the tune. Let's hear it. This is Shawn Lee Stamps and The Truth right here on Music from Muscle Shoals, Then, Now, and Forever.
The truth is, these days, this country has changed a lot for the worse, and it's a damn shame letting killers go free on technicalities, just lock their ass up and throw away the key. 'Cause we know the truth, it ain't what you see on the evening news when you turn on your TV. The truth is the truth.
Truth is the truth.
And God is alive.
God is alive.
And neither will change, no matter the lie. The truth is truth hurts.
Truth is truth hurts.
I know from the pain.
I know from the pain.
It is what it is, 'cause the truth doesn't change. The truth is these days we're killing ourselves with the booze and the dough and all these damn pills. And it's a real easy track to slip off into. You can say it's not me, but the truth is the truth. The truth is these days, if it weren't for my wife, I wouldn't know pain, not sorrow and strife, but I wouldn't know love. I owe that to her. Now she's my whole world. Lord, I love that sweet girl. The truth is the truth. God is alive. Neither will change, no matter the lie. Yeah, the truth is truth hurts. I know from the pain, but it is what it is, 'cause the truth doesn't change.
Shawn Lee Stamps, The Truth. And you recall the first comment I told you. What did I say about this? What was the first thing I said about this song when you after you sent it to me?
I sent you this song, and the very first comments you made to me back at this song, you said, "Damn, this is country."
Yeah, and it is.
And that, I think that made me feel good, because I'm not really happy with the way country music has went in the last several years, and I'd hoped, I'm hearing a lot of people out there now that's really putting out some good country music. Ray Charles once said the thing he loved about country music most was the stories that it told. Mm-hmm. And I think we lost that for a long time. And
speaking, it is country, and you've tackled some subject matter in the song that's real. So what are some of those issues that are real to you that makes you who you are, and your thought process that ends up being involved in your music? Because you tackled them, a couple of them in that song right there. Like,
oh gosh,
what are maybe the social issues or some of the issues that come to mind? That
I would say the number one issue in that song that I addressed was the opioid epidemic that we have in our country.
It's just crazy.
And in the song, it says, we're killing ourselves with the booze and the dope and all these damn pills. And we are, David. We are imploding as a society with the drugs. And, every day I hear, well, it's Big Pharma's problem and it's this person's fault. No, it's not. It's these people out here that continue to take the pills. That's the big fault right there. I know there's a lot of people that gets addicted to pain pills that can't get off of them. I do. And I feel so bad for those people. But I also know that there's a lot of people out there that take pain pills because it makes them feel good and they just want to get high. And I experienced that firsthand, and it all flows into the song, because into the last verse of the song, I say, if it weren't for my wife, I wouldn't know pain, sorrow, and strife. But I wouldn't know love, and I owe all that to her. And I have the greatest wife, Melissa. She is supportive of everything I do, but she had that opioid problem. When it started out with she needed some pain medicine, and it developed into she was taking a lot of pills every day because she was getting high. And it came to the point to where I said, honey, I love you, and we've been married a long time, but if you don't get off these pills, we're going to get a divorce. And I left for Charlotte, North Carolina, and I come back, and she had done what she had to do to get off those pills, and she took a different route. She went to the methadone clinic for about 2 months, and then she weaned herself off that. And there's a lot of people out there that says, oh, I'm taking methadone so I ain't on pain pills. Guess what? Methadone is still a drug you're getting high on, man. But she had the will to stop because she knew it was either these pills, this drug problem, or my husband in my life, and she didn't want to lose that, and I didn't either. And she is, to me, the greatest wife that a man could ever ask for because she overcame the biggest problem in this country for her marriage.
Wow, man, that's a great testimony there. That's just incredible. 3 chords and the truth, as somebody says.
3 chords and the truth.
We're
That's
talking
it.
to Shawn Lee Stamps on.
Gosh, isn't it though? 3 chords.
It is.
I never thought it is. It is.
Man, I'll tell you. Well, we're going to give you the opportunity. Pick that guitar up.
God, it's.
And
Dang, man, David,
pick something out to play live here in the studio. It's the first time you ever played live in the studio on an internet radio show?
It is, and I have all that to thank to you and WFMC, and I couldn't be more grateful, man.
We're glad to have you along. So,
but yeah, I can play a live song. I've got one in mind. I was talking just a minute ago about leaving Melissa and going to Charlotte, North Carolina. I was working over there, and my company had me in a condo. And gosh, man, I was riding down the interstate at 5 o'clock in the morning. I would leave every Monday at 3 a.m. and I would go to Charlotte and work all week, and then I'd come back on the weekends.
wow.
So every week I was making that 8-9 hour drive. And between Atlanta and Charlotte, the last 2 weeks that I worked, and I quit a job making absolutely great salary, benefits, company truck, company card, and I gave it all up because I loved my wife and I missed her and I missed my kids and my daughter and my son. So between Atlanta and Charlotte, I wrote a song called Things You Can't Get
You're probably
Back.
making her cry right about now.
Oh, bless
You almost got me tearing up.
Well,
I mean, come on. That's awesome.
So, yeah, Things You Can't Get Back is a song that I wrote going down the interstate that I jotted down on a piece of paper, and when I got to Charlotte, I put some music to it, and that's the song I'm going to play here live for you tonight. Well, I woke up this morning at 3 a.m., and I kissed my wife and left for Charlotte again. It's an 8-hour drive, but 1,000,000 miles from home. And leaving her, it's getting to me. The next thing to go is my sanity, and I just don't know how much more I can take. 'Cause I miss her smile and the way that she sleeps, and I even miss the feel of her cold feet. And it's killing me to be so far from home. I miss my little girl and her funny ways. It's getting worse every day. And these are the things that I miss back home. Yeah, these are the things you can't get back when they're gone. When he was born in 32, he was 81 when he died in June, and it broke my heart to know my grandpa was gone. 'Cause he was everything me as a kid, and I wanted to do everything that he did. And now that he's gone, I'll think of all that I'll miss. I miss the things that he'd say that made no sense at all, and the way that he wore his overalls, and the the way that he loved each and every one just the same. I miss our fishing trips and the places we'd go, and his leathered skin and the stories he told. And these are the things that I miss most of all. Yeah, these are the things you can't get back when they're gone. Well, I woke up this morning at 3 a.m. and I kissed my wife and left for Charlotte again. It's an 8-hour drive, but a million miles from home. There you go. Things you can't get back.
Shawn Lee Stamps. I'll tell you one thing. Thank goodness for the memories you have. As bad as some of them were, as trying as challenging of a life you've had, they left you with some good music material that could help others go through some of the same things that.
It did, David. You know, I say, and I use this term quite often, you know, unfortunately but fortunately,
right,
the life I led to the songs that I've written. You know, I touched base at the end of that song about my granddad. You know, he was a great big influence in my life. You know, my parents, they, Lord bless them, I don't know if they just couldn't be the greatest parents at that time, or they were doing the best they could. But I was raised mostly by my grandparents, and my granddaddy, his name was Layman Stamps Sr., and he was known as the Pepsi Man. He worked for Buffalo Rock here in Tuscumbia for 43 years.
My goodness.
And, you know, everybody knew him as the Pepsi Man, and I took after him. He played the guitar, and I used to listen to him play the guitar. And I have some cousins here, Hope and Dylan Stamps, and their granddad, Raymond, and my granddad, Layman, were identical twins. And they're excellent musicians and singers, both of those, Hope and Dylan. And, you know, my family has a great big history of music, and I didn't pick the guitar up until I was on up into my early 20s. But my granddad, he had a great big influence in my life, and you know, people tell me today he never met a stranger, and neither do I. You know, I'll say hi to anybody and talk to them, because I want people to treat me the way I treat them, and I try my best to. And you know, I'm not perfect, and I'm not going to sit here and tell you I am. I strive to be a better man every day.
Tell us how we can get your music on the internets, like the songs we've heard tonight, the studio and or the song you played in the studio.
Well, the only song I have that is studio recorded now is The Truth, and it's out now. You can find it on Spotify, Pandora, iTunes, Apple Music, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, any streaming place that you want to go, you can find it. And for anybody that's still kind of old school and wants CDs, all you got to do is just find me on Facebook. I'm certainly not big enough that I'm going to ignore anybody, and even if I did become big enough that a lot of people, you know, they forget where they come from, I'm
Sure.
not going to, you know.
I don't think you will.
I still live in little bitty Cloverdale, Rawhide, Alabama, and always will. It's home, and I've got a 15-acre farm there that is weeds are taking over because, Lord, I just neglect it. But if you just are still old school and want a CD, or I'm actually going to get this single, The Truth, on vinyl. For anybody that would like it on vinyl, for special requests. So
You'll probably get, you know, because vinyl, actually, I think the numbers are showing that vinyl has started to outsell CDs now.
really,
It's really interesting.
well, you know, a friend of mine, they said, you know, Shawn, you ought to put your music on vinyl, and I was like, that's crazy. And they said, no, vinyl is making a great big comeback right now. So I checked into it, and I'm going to get it pressed on the vinyl. And so anybody that would like a copy of The Truth on vinyl or CD, hey, all you got to do, Send me a friend request on Facebook, Instagram at Shawn Lee Stamps and the number 2. I will, hey, feel free to say, hey, listen, this is me. I'd love to have your song. And we'll get you set up with a CD or even vinyl. Came out October the 1st. So just look for Shawn Lee Stamps and the Truth. You know, I'm happy to have come down. I feel, you know, every day I tell people, God has a plan for me.
For those of you enjoying this video, this interview on YouTube, feel free to like and share. Shawn Lee Stamps, such a pleasure talking to you. One of the most revealing and truthful interviews that I've ever done, and I've done a bunch over the years.
Well, there's one thing for sure. You know, with me, David, you're going to hear the truth, you know.
When we get another batch of tunes ready for release, let's do this interview again.
Absolutely.
And go in some different places and explore life as Shawn Lee Stamps knows it.
Well, the next song that I'm going to record is the one I played tonight. You know, Things You Can't Get Back. I played at the Trail of Tears here in Waterloo this past weekend, and for the first time in my life, I actually seen how much my music affected people. I was sitting around a campfire with a big group of people, and I looked out, and I was playing this song, Things You Can't Get Back, and I seen 3 grown men crying. And I knew then that my music, I had accomplished my goal right then. If I never sell a record, I had accomplished my goal because I had touched somebody's life.
That's priceless. Shawn Lee Stamps, thank you so much, brother, and God bless you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, David.
We'll be talking to you soon.
See you.